Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to episode 11 of Fireside Stories, The Shifting Sands, a terrifying encounter. James was a fearless adventurer who loved exploring uncharted territories. He was always up for a challenge, and nothing scared him. He had faced countless dangers on his journey, but nothing had prepared him for what lay ahead. James had purchased a dusty old journal at an auction house. Reading it, he discovered the previous owner had done substantial research on the whereabouts of Atlantis. According to his findings, it was in the middle of the Saharan desert. James assembled a party and departed for the coordinates written in the journal. However, before the day ended, they were attacked by raiders. They killed everyone in his party and stole all their gear. James was relieving himself behind a sand dune and came back to see his party members decapitated and dismembered. James trekked through the desert for what felt like an eternity. His water supply had run out a couple days ago. The sun beat down on him mercilessly, and he had no idea which direction to go. He stumbled forward, his legs aching and his throat dry. As he stumbled across the shifting sand dunes, he saw something in the distance, shimmering in the heat. He rubbed his eyes, thinking it was a mirage, but as he got closer, he saw a giant sandworm barreling toward him. This thing had to be 30 feet long. James gasped, thinking he must be hallucinating. He had heard tales of these beasts, but never thought he would encounter one himself. The sandworm was getting closer. The sand beneath James's feet began to vibrate as the tremors from the monster permeated through the ground. He realized this was no hallucination. It was real. He turned to run, but his legs were too weak and gave out. He scrambled to his feet and tried to run again, but the sand was soft and he couldn't get a good grip. The sandworm was getting closer, and he could hear the thunderous roar as it dove in and out of the sand dunes. James could feel his heart pounding in his chest as he tried to run away. The worm's shadow loomed over him, and he could feel its hot breath on his back. James looked up to see the monstrous mouth gaping over him. Rows of razor-sharp teeth lined the circumference of its mouth. Saliva dripped on James's face as the beast drooled over its next meal. Before James could react, the worm lunged toward him, its jaws snapping shut around him. He felt himself being dragged into the worm's mouth. The worm's teeth sunk into James's flesh as they pulled him deeper into his throat. He knew that he was doomed. James's muffled screams faded on the winds of the sun-soaked desert to be heard by no one. James tried to fight back, but it was no use. The sandworm was too strong and it was slowly swallowing him whole. He felt his body being squeezed and crushed as he slid deeper into the worm's belly. James's screams were silenced as the worm's mouth closed. He was trapped, unable to move or breathe. As his consciousness slowly faded, he knew he was going to die. The worm burrowed into the sand, its belly bulging with its latest meal. James's fate remained a mystery, but the worm was content, able to survive for another month. Future meals were not a concern. The legend of Atlantis would continue to provide sustenance for decades to come. Now, if you enjoyed that story, make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to stay in the loop for future Fireside Stories.